You're tuned in to a Grown Folks production.
In the mix
With the commish, Nate.
And I always got to wait for a second. And just like that, welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly OMFL podcast show. Welcome in. Thanks for being here. My name is Nate. I am the commissioner, owner of the New Orleans Saints. No one cares about that. Let me welcome in my co-host, as always, the commissioner of the Deuce, Mr. Maniac, and owner of the Atlanta Falcons. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, man? I know we're getting into the playoff talk, so a lot of stuff happening in OMFL as normally is, and so looking forward to the show, man.
It is time to talk playoffs, and before we do that, though, let's do a little recapping. My guy Maniac's not feeling super well, so just be thinking about our buddy here. He is still here, pushing through. We're going to figure this out together. Maniac, you want to talk about week number 14?
Let's do it, man. Yeah, me and my allergies today. But I'm looking at a lot of the games being played. There's several games that can we talk about. We can talk about the Giants, Texans, Cowboys, Seahawks. That would be the ones to look at, But 49ers, Commanders. That was a really great game as well there by Bill and D Money. But we don't want to talk about D Money all the time. He kind of runs the highlights here. But we're going to look at the Patriots and the Raiders. This game was definitely a good game here. Looked like played by both these guys. It came out to a 28-23 victory for New England. But we just kind of look at some of the things that were going on. 500 yards offense for the Patriots, man, and 415 for the Raiders. Both these guys were just going up and down the field, passing yards. 367 for the Patriots, 272 for the Raiders. One stat to look at: they had 43 first downs amongst both teams combined. So they were moving the ball. There was no defense in this game. Time of possession was pretty close to the same. Looking at some player stats, we've talked about Rusty Starr. He's kind of an up and coming quarterback for the Patriots. He's had his struggles up and down, but he had a pretty solid game here. He did throw the 3 picks, but 3 touchdowns, man, and he had a long of a 96. So he was putting together some stats here, 50 and 28. Gaston Walter, the guy that was traded from the Vikings, it seems like he's kind of found his niche over here. The Raiders, 275 yards, a touchdown. He did have the 2 picks, but he was slinging the ball around, man, 37 times, completed 21 of those. Both these guys, though, if you look at them, they like to run the ball, and it seems like the Patriots have had a pretty good running game the last couple of seasons, especially since they got Eckler and Gibson both in the backfield. He does share the load with those 2 guys, both equally getting carries in this game. Gibson averaged 4.9 yards a carry. Eckler was 7 yards a carry. Josh Jacobs, though, man, 12 touches, 8.4 yards a carry, 101 yards, and a touchdown. I'm surprised he didn't get the rock another 12 more times with that kind of production, because, man, he was having his way on the offensive side. Looking at some of the receiver stats, Damian Justice, we hadn't seen him in a while. He's kind of been quiet over in New England. All of a sudden, he kind of has a breakout game with 6 catches, 247 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So he was definitely the favorite target there for Mr. Rusty, the quarterback. And the old man, Devontae Adams, man, 9 catches, 112 yards, didn't have a touchdown. But, man, he was moving the change as well for the Raiders. Defense, again, we didn't see a whole lot of defense, obviously from the stats of the game with the yards and stuff, but they must have done something right within the red zones, because we didn't touch on that, but the red zone opportunities were pretty slim for both teams. So they were either scoring before they got to the red zone, or they kind of shut down right before the red zone. But leading tackler for the Patriots, 13 tackles by free safety Gibson. So he was just kind of all over the field making plays. And then looking at newly retired in the NFL, Justin Reed, which I think that might have been a April Fool's deal, but he had 10 tackles, and he was kind of around the ball a lot in this game as well. Sacks, Wheeler kind of getting it done there for the Patriots. Wilson for the Raiders had one as well. Then interceptions, Moring had one for the Raiders. Marion one, and then Bennett also had one. And
good luck with that one.
Yeah. Tavay, had one for the Pats, and then also Peppers also had one. So, but anyway, just looking at this game, and again, I know it's kind of boring looking at the stats, but sometimes that kind of tells like what was happening in the game. And obviously, both teams did have nice offensive outputs, but keeping the score to 28-23, their defenses were somewhat formidable in the red zone. So, but this was a great game and probably very entertaining to watch if you were able to tune into this one.
Yep, really good game, and it's. I'm sure we'll talk about him at some point today, but it's been good to see our buddy Lost Sniper start to get some victories under his sort of belt. Yeah. I'm constantly messing with the vertical stream, so if you're hanging out with us on the vertical stream, I appreciate you. Constantly just trying to make it better, look better, and so we're trying some things. Let's take a look at week number 15. Before we get talking about the playoffs, these games late season get weird, Maniac. You just never know sort of what to expect, what not to expect. I want to kind of fix something over here that's bothering me, but they can get a little bit weird because you just never. There we are. Something just happened. Hold on. What happened?
Something just happened.
It did. I don't know what it was. But, okay. Pause, everyone. Get back. There we go. This is not what I was trying to do. It just went away for some weird, random reason. So, anyway, I'm just constantly over here trying to work on Maniac's photo so we can, make it look pretty decent. There we go. I think we got it where we want it. Anyway, back to what we were talking. These games get really weird here late in the season, mainly because, guys are like, okay, my season's over. I'm going to just start, pumping in a bunch of, young players I want to try to build up, blah, 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 blah. Those things happen. And some of these scores can get a little weird as well. But there's a ton of games we could talk about. I'm going to go talk about what I think was the best one. But can we just pause for a second and say that Mr. Dwayne and the Dallas Cowboys hammering almost a multi-champion, but Mr. Bronco Man and his Condors, just that is not a score I expected to see happen. Cincinnati and Houston playing to a tight one, but I think that might have been a CPU game. I know our guy Roger has been in the hospital. We just finished talking about Lost Sniper with a big victory. Carolina, that's the game we're going to talk about. Carolina with a 3-point victory. There was one other one I almost talked about, and that was Buffalo and the Desperados. What a great game between those two guys. Desperados coming away the 33-28. But then I just kind of changed my mind on the fly here because these are my two guys over here, Bird and Mr. Kevin. 646 yards passing, or total yards, by the Carolina Panthers. 537 by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 128 rushing to 195 rushing, 451 passing to 409 passing, and only one turnover. All of those stats and only one turnover. And the Carolina Panthers are starting to get some momentum here. They're starting to get some things figured out as they just start to make a late run here at a wild card spot, a potentially opportunity. That's not what I'm trying to say. A potential opportunity to win the division, even though those two were arguing about it last night. 6 touchdowns last night. Golly, I need a nap. 6 touchdowns by Ryder, 5 by Young. a combined 11 touchdowns, 1 interception on the day. Young was 79%. Bird is he is super efficient. He calls all the all the plays that work just well for his team, and he keeps that percentage really high. He just throws darts, man. And then Ryder, who usually is that high in percentage, only 59% on the day, but still 415 yards passing. You can see the running game was going. Just no one wanted to play defense in this one at all. I wish it showed pancakes. I'm sure there was a lot of pancakes being eaten in this game. Sorry, Bird. He knows I love him. I'm just picking with him. Not a whole lot of sacks going on in this game. Couple half sacks going on. Only the 1 interception by Winfield. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers falling to the Carolina Panthers. That's going to say a lot about the games that we're going to pick here in just a minute as we talk about who's in, who's not in playoff season 109. Week number 16. Take it away.
Well, let's see. There's only 2 games played so far in week 16.
Ain't a whole lot to pick from, and one of them's yours.
I'm not going to talk about mine.
One
man.
would assume you have no interest in talking about that one.
So we're going to go with the 49ers, and we'll talk about D-Money, I guess, and Mr. Dwayne here. This was a good game. Both these guys played, I think, a little bit after Bill and I played. But man, looking at the stats, the box score here, obviously when you play D-Money, he's got Pacheco, 150 yards rushing, and that's kind of his forte, man. But he has got that speed wide receiver that he got in the draft, and he's been using him, putting up a lot of stats with that guy. But only 198 yards passing for the 49ers, 176 for the Cowboys. 21 first downs for the 49ers, though. That's a big number compared to the 12 for the Cowboys. Turnovers, the 49ers had the 1 turnover. The Cowboys did not turn the ball over. Third down conversions, though, only 2 for the Cowboys, 8 for the 49ers. Probably had a couple of stops there, possibly making Dwayne kick the ball. I didn't get to watch them because I was watching the Eclipse. But that would probably be one thing that probably going back on, I bet Dwayne would be like, he needed to make a couple more third down conversions to keep the ball out of the hands of this potent 49ers offense. Time possession was pretty much down the middle, a little bit favored of the 49ers, 22-50 to 17-10 for the Cowboys. But looking at the stats for the players, Justin Fields did not have a touchdown pass or interception. 14-20, but he was very efficient, 70%. Dwayne, I think, is actually the top quarterback so far this season for his completion percentage-wise. 3 sacks, though. He did get sacked 3 times. That 49ers defense is vicious, man, getting after the quarterback. Trey Lance, he did have a touchdown, did have the interception, was only sacked once, which that's kind of impressive, especially since Dwayne and Micah Parsons is leading the league in sacks right now. Talking about the rushing from Pacheco, he had 99 yards, so Dwayne was able to keep him from getting that 100-yard mark, which is impressive and a little bit of the way, because 22 carries, man. He was trying to get him over that 100-yard mark. 2 touchdowns, though, man. Pacheco gets in that red zone. He's getting in the end zone. Tony Pollard, though, was held in check. 14 carries, 64 yards. That's not Dwayne type football there, and I'm sure he's going to correct that. Taven Lambert, this is the rookie that was talking about. Dwayne kept him in check big time here with only 5 receptions, 78 yards. He did not get a touchdown, did not have the big play. So this game looked like it was a lot of back and forth. George Kittle did get the touchdown reception. Looking at the defense, Damone Clark had 7 for the Cowboys. McGuire had 7. And then also Warner also had 7 tackles for loss.
I laugh because I didn't catch that name before just this second. That's too Roger. You're too much. You're too much, son.
Oh, Mr. Roger, and some of the I just now realized the first name, Jerry Maguire. Oh my gosh. 3 tackles for a loss by Bosa and Hargrove. Both those guys are in the backfield for the 49ers. Sacks, talking about that, Bosa with 1.5. And this guy, Robert Bill Jr., like, nobody else can probably get anything out of this guy, but D-Money has him where he's like a pass rushing machine. And so he's always in the backfield and making plays. Stephon Gilmore, the ageless wonder, 14 years in the league, and he's still picking the ball off. I think he's possibly the league leader as well in interceptions. So, but both these guys, they're if you look at them, they play very similar. They both want to make you make the mistake, and they'll pound the rock and then just kind of keep control of the ball. But it was a really good game, though. 24-16. San Francisco does get the victory, but I just have this sneaky feeling like not all was shown in this game by both guys, because they know they're gonna be facing each other in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I'm always intrigued by how guys approach those games and what they're thinking. We'll probably never know, because I don't think either one of those guys would ever share any of their secrets. But like, I'm just like, how do you approach those games when you know I'm going to see this dude in just a little bit? Because I'm sure both could have hung over 30 on each other, but played a pretty quiet defensive battle. Taking a look at week number 17, Jets and Bills, that could go a long way as we start to see Bills are in the number 1 wild card spot right now. The Jets are in the number 1 seed right now. And so that's going to go a long way into telling us how Big Hurt is going to go moving in to the playoffs. Patriots fighting for their playoff opportunities against the Broncos. That could be a really good one. Did the Cowboys come out and just sort of flex on the Titans? Penguins not having the team or the season he thought he was going to have. He probably needs one more year, and he'll be back rolling in our last season next year. Chiefs and Desperados right now. The Chiefs and Desperados Chiefs are number 3 seed. Desperados right on the edge. This is a big matchup for both of their teams, because a loss could send the Chiefs. I don't know if I'm going to say that right. No, it would not send them. It could possibly send them into a wild card spot as they flip-flop. It could even send them out of the playoffs. Desperados, that's going to be a massive, massive game as we come down to the end here. What other games kind of stick out to me here? Steelers and Dolphins. Right now, the Dolphins are the number 2 wild card spot. Steelers are sort of right on the edge, kind of fighting their way in. That could be a big game for the Steelers to sort of get right back in the hunt and take over. Buccaneers and Saints, not a big game for me, but I'm trying to play spoiler out here as the Buccaneers are holding on. They're 10-4 to that number 3 seed currently, but over the NFC South. Panthers hoping that somehow the Saints can get a victory in there. Highly doubtful, Bird. Don't get your pants in an uproar. I don't think it's going to happen. Chargers and Bengals could go a long way. That could be a really fun matchup. Again, you're talking about 2 teams who could see each other, but the Chargers need the victory. Bengals sort of still right there for that number 1 seed. Both teams are going to be trying. Let's see exactly what they do. And then Cardinals and Commanders. Cardinals are out of it now, but the Commanders right there at 7-6, still trying to get into one of those wild card playoff spots. And then finally, a look at week number 18. What are you looking for in the last week of the season?
All right, looking at the last week, we're talking about divisions, and man, the one game that I saw in week 17 was the Mounties and the Vikings. That could be actually for the division championship.
That's crazy. The Vikings were in the chat today, just not a happy camper.
Oh, but yeah, that's crazy though. That and realistically, the Packers, if something happens here, Packers versus Falcons, obviously I'm fighting for a playoff spot. I'm kind of on the cusp there, but the Packers actually, if he throws together a few wins here at the end of the season, he might actually sneak up there and take the division as well, because I know the Lions have got a pretty tough schedule as well. But Buccaneers, Panthers, this is going to be a division, interdivision matchup here that is going to be
could be for the division.
It could be for the division title if things fall right for the Panthers. The Giants, obviously, versus the Cowboys. Cowboys probably have wrapped up whatever they're going to be, seed they're going to be at this point. And are the Giants still trying to fight to get in the playoffs as well? Could this be something that plays in the favor of the Giants getting into the playoffs possibly? Condors versus Desperados. This would be a great matchup here. Both these guys play kind of polar opposite, really. The Condors are the guy that likes to run the ball, just play off of the play action, but the Desperados, man, they like to open the offense up and get the ball down the field. So this could be a big matchup here, possibly a playoff implications, or maybe a playoff pre-matchup here. 49ers Bills, again, this could be one of those things where D-Money doesn't really need to do anything. So will this help the Bills, or is this going to be where D-Money just wants to make a statement and get rid of Big Hurt, completely, because Big Hurt has been one of his kryptonites in the playoffs before as well. And so that could be something. The Lions Vikings, this could be for the NFC North title here. So that could be a big matchup. Commander Seahawks, Meek Boy now look like since the 49ers have kind of taken a stranglehold on the NFC West, he's obviously playing for the wild card spot, but the Commanders are also deep into the wild card spot. Are they going to be resting? Are the Seahawks going to be resting because they're assured a playoff spot, and then that helps the Commanders possibly solidify their playoff? So a lot of different variables could go into this game as well, but it should be a great matchup because it could be something that we could see in the actual playoffs. Chargers Raiders, another one that could be implications for the Chargers. I know the Raiders are kind of I'm not sure if they're still alive or not, but I closed out my thing here. But no, the Raiders are not listed, but the Chargers are still in playoff hunt. Could this be something where the Raiders just kind of say, hey, let's just get ready for the draft, and the Chargers are able to sneak in? Just a lot of things could happen, but I think one of the biggest matchups the entirety of this week is going to be the Dolphins at the Jets. I think this is going to be one. Both these guys just seem like they play extremely hard against each other, and the Jets right now they're the number one seed, but the Dolphins are at 9-4. If something happens and the Jets lose a game in between here and there, and the Dolphins are able to run the table, this could actually be for that division as well, because if the Dolphins could pull out the victory and they both have the same record, it could actually possibly swing the division to the Dolphins. So just a lot of interesting, intriguing things could happen here in Week 18 of the OMFL.
Tons of really, really good games. We'll have to see exactly how a lot of these start to play out as we get to the end here. I think they're going to set up for some interesting conversations as we talk about who's in and who's not in. So let's get over here to the OMFL news for Mr. Denbrew. Denbrew, take it away.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Denbrew, and this is the OMFL news. We are in week 16, and we are so close to the playoffs. A couple of teams have already locked up their divisions. The Condors in the AFC South. The other is the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East. And as for the rest of the playoff picture, we have an absolute log jam in both conferences, so these next few weeks are going to be awesome. And I want to take a look at a couple of matchups that we have this week that are going to have some good playoff implications. So let's start with the game that is going on now as I am recording this. We have the Commanders who are still alive. According to Coach Bill's playoff rankings, versus the Falcons, who have the number 2 wild card spot in the NFC right now. So this is obviously a huge matchup for both teams. The Commanders, he wins. Now he gets out of that staying alive. Now he leaps into the playoffs, and a loss for the Falcons would probably drop him out, depending on what else happens. But so it's huge for both teams. and a win with the Falcons would really solidify their playoff hopes. Looking at the Commanders, they got a rookie at quarterback, a rookie at running back, and they have a well-rounded group of vets at receiver. But that's all equated to them just being sort of average on offense, which isn't surprising when you got a young QB. But where the Commanders are really, really, really good is defense. They do a good job on defense. They don't let you score. They keep you out of the end zone. They're giving up like less than 20 points a game. I think it was 19 when I looked. And they're at the top in nearly every category on defense. They got no weaknesses. They can stop the run. They can get after your quarterback. They got two guys, Chase Young and Montez Sweat, who are absolute freaks on the game. And they got a ball-hawking corner in Emmanuel Forbes. The guy's got like 14 interceptions, and I think the Commanders as a team are close to 30 overall just as a team for interceptions, so they can really turn you over. Looking at Atlanta, what do they bring to the table? They like to play a game of guess the starting quarterback. Contestant number 1 is a 95 overall gunslinger and Parker Colt. Up next is career backup Hayden Moore. Contestant number 3, you get the point. So they got 4 quarterbacks that have thrown a touchdown this season. And the last time I looked, Parker Colt had regained his starting spot in Atlanta. Colt's elite. He's an elite QB, big arm, super accurate, and he's got some receivers to throw to, led by X-Factor Kyle Pitts at tight end and young superstar Drake London. Drake London is not super fast, but he is big, he is athletic, and he does a great job of getting open. But the other weapon that Bill will need to worry about in this game that is going on as I'm recording this will be the running back Bijan Robinson. Robinson got that big play ability. He's averaged over 6 yards a carry. He's got 14 touchdowns on the year. I mean, that could be the difference in the game. If Maniac's able to run the ball and doesn't have to drop back and throw when those obvious passing situations, and then he can keep Montez Sweat and Chase Young off of him, that could be the difference in the game there. But I've spoke too much. That's going to end it for segment 1. I'm going to throw it back to Maniac, throw it back to Nate, and I'll be back for segment 2, and we'll break down one more game.
Thank you, Mr. Denbrew. Appreciate you. Now it's time to talk some playoffs. That's right. Season 109 playoffs. They're almost here. We're going to be there in probably before me and you get back for Press Pass Live. So we're really just going to start it off by talking about who do we think is in and who do we think isn't. So here are your top 4 seeds in the AFC. Jets, the number 1 seed at 12-2, they're going to be in. Bengals, the number 2 seed, 11-3, they're going to be in. And then it starts to get murky. Chiefs at 9-4, Condors at 9-5, though they have already won the South Division, so they're in. So that's a team we don't have to talk about. Technically, the Jets have not absolutely put themselves in, but they're going to be in. The Bengals technically have not totally put themselves, but we know they're going to be in. Chiefs still up in the air. Bills, the number 1 wild card, 9-4, still up in the air. Dolphins, number 2 wild card, still up in the air, 9-4. Ravens, the number 3 wild card, 9-5, still in the air. And then we have a lot of teams that are like right there. Chargers at 8-5, Desperados 8-5, Steelers 8-6, Patriots 6-8. What they still have an opportunity to maybe win that division if some things sort of go their way. Probably not. It's probably over. But anyway, they are still technically still in there. So, Maniac, who is in? We won't talk number 1 seeds or like seeding or anything, but who do you think is just in when it comes to the AFC?
There's such a logjam of teams here. I really see like the Bills, unless things just fall completely off the wheels here for the last few games, and it could because he's a coach. He's constantly having to play, go out of town for his team, playing baseball games and stuff. So it could get kind of murky for the Bills to continue on what he's doing right now. So I know he's number 1, but I'm going to call the Bills, and I'm going to call the Dolphins here too. But I think where you're looking at the Ravens, I think this is going to be up and down. This depends on what happens with his team here in the next couple of weeks. The Desperados have been a team that I've looked at. The Chargers are another team that I've looked at. They're just kind of like right on the edge. But the Chiefs also, they're in a battle. If they fall a couple games here, the Chargers could take that spot, the number 3 seed. Give me the Chiefs and the Bills, and the Dolphins and the Desperados. I think those are the ones that are gonna, I think, have everything kind of fall into place for them. I look at the Ravens. I think they're going to fall out. I don't think the Steelers are going to make it. Patriots, even though he shows he's still in it and stuff, to me, I think it's just too big of a hill to climb there. But if he can get in, more power to all Sniper there, because he definitely deserves it. If there's anybody in the OMFL deserves it, I think Sniper does, because he does so much around here and stuff. But just to look at that, I think you're going to go ahead and look at and see the Chiefs are going to make it. I think the Bills are going to be a team to make it, and the Dolphins, I think they're going to kind of keep in that spot there, and I think the Desperados are going to be the one that's going to sneak in kind of that bottom wild card spot there in the AFC.
Yeah, I think Bengals and Jets both win their divisions. I think they're going to sew that up here this week. But listen to this really fast. AFC East, Jets 12-2, Dolphins 10-4, Buffalo 9-5, New England 6-8, right there on the cusp. All 4 teams still in the hunt. But listen to the AFC North, Cincinnati 11-3, Baltimore 9-5. The Desperados, San Antonio 9-5, and Pittsburgh 8-6. All of those teams like right there on the cusp. If you're Pittsburgh, you're probably winning 75% of the other divisions in the OMFL, but you just happen to be in a crazy tough one. So give me Cincinnati, give me the New York Jets to be able to win their divisions. And then it comes down to Kansas City. I think they will sew it up this week. Neon Sports is showing them at 10-4. My last update that I got from Bill, which probably isn't the most recent, has them sitting at 9-4. So I think that was before last night's sim. So I think Kansas City has sewed up the AFC West, not probably mathematically, but I do think they're going to win that division. So to me, it comes down to the Chargers, to Miami, to Buffalo. Who else we got out there? Baltimore and the Steelers and San Antonio Desperados. 6 teams fighting for 3 wild card spots. And man, just flip a coin. Give me Miami. They're definitely going to take 1. So that leaves just a handful of teams. And I'm going to sort of pick with my heart here. I think the Chargers somehow get over the hump, man. They have been so red hot this entire cycle, pushing it right there to the very end of the playoffs in the AFC every single time. Showed up to an AFC a bowl game representing the AFC. Was it last season or the season before? I don't know. It was one of those seasons
last
here.
Season, I believe.
Yeah. So I think he's going to go ahead. He's going to take one of those wild card spots, and so it leaves one in the air for Buffalo, for Pittsburgh, and for San Antonio and the Ravens. So 4 teams, 1 wild card spot. Who am I going to give it to? I think this week is going to tell us a lot about who's in and who's not. Man, that's such a tough one to be able to call. Give me Buffalo to go ahead and take that last wild card spot. So I've got Buffalo, the Dolphins each getting 1, and then for the last one, I'm going to put the Chargers in. But either way, the AFC is going to be a ton of fun. Who knows how this one's going to actually play out as we get to the end here. But the AFC, we'll see you. We're watching you. A lot of good games as we come down here to the last 2 3/4 weeks that we got left. Now let's take a look at the NFC. I apologize. Number 1 seed all sewed up. Actually, the number 1 seed is not sewed up, but his playoff spot is sewed up. Dallas Cowboys at 13-1. 49ers, the number 2 seed, at 12-1. Buccaneers at 10-4. We've already kind of talked about how they're in pseudo of a fight in the NFC South. Vikings, the number 4 seed, at 5-8. That is a real stat line here in the OMFL. Tough division there. They're the number 4 seed. Seahawks at 10-3. They're the number 1 wild card. Giants at 8-6. Turn things around what a good defense over there. They're the number 2 wild card spot. And currently, again, this was before you played today, before the update. The last update I had was Falcons at 8-6 as the number 3 wild card. Panthers 8-6 is still in the hunt. Commanders at 7-6 are still in the hunt. Maybe the Commanders and Falcons flip-flopped, but the Commanders win today. And technically, Lions still alive at 5-9. That's because the Vikings are winning their division at 5-8. Who's in and who is not here in the NFC?
Jeez Louise, man. Telling you, there's some, it's nice to see a lot of close races. I know there's like a couple teams, like obviously the Cowboys, 49ers, they're kind of like the echelon above everybody else. And we saw the Seahawks, kind of be that team just a step below, but he's also been able to really compete with those guys. A lot of the guys, like when you start looking at the Buccaneers down, have struggled against top tier teams. I know, like with myself, even on the AFC side, I've struggled against like the likes of like the Bengals and those teams that I've played this season also. And I just think looking at this, and you're talking about, like the Panthers. The Panthers have just really came on the last 4 or 5 weeks and really put together a nice season so far. And he's kind of gaining a momentum. I think his team's picking up some steam coming into the final run and stuff. And looking at my team, I've kind of been on the opposite end of that. I think I've been 2-4 the last 6 games, so I've struggled a little bit. So my team's kind of going on the down end. I really think my Falcons are going to be out of it. I think the Giants, and if you look at the Giants, Cowboys, and the Commanders, what they're bringing to the table, and I think this is because they've kind of iron sharpens iron mentality or whatever. All 3 of those teams, their defenses are really good. You saw the Commanders play the 49ers to a really close game here a couple weeks ago. The Giants that's been one of the things that he's turned his team around. The defense playing a lot better. When you're playing a guy like the Cowboys, Dwayne is the top guy for us, like being the defensive type of guy. And so you've got those guys kind of mimicking what they've had to play so much this Madden, and they've built really good defenses. And I can attest to that. Playing the Commanders today, like my team couldn't do nothing. Like he was all over everything. So those are the things I think are going to get these guys into the playoffs and make sure they get that playoff spot. So looking at the Cowboys, the 49ers, which the 49ers did win today, so they're 14-1. The Cowboys are 13-2. You got your 1 and 2 seeds; those are locked up. The Seahawks, without a shadow of doubt, that's going to be your top wild card seed. They've got that locked in. Buccaneers, Panthers, and the NFC South. Again, this is going to be how things play out. If the Buccaneers are able to get a victory this week, it's sewed up for them. They'll have the South wrapped up, and then the Panthers and Falcons will be fighting for one of those playoff spots there. So obviously, when I said call the Cowboys, call the 49ers. I'm going to go ahead and say the Bucs have the best opportunity to wrap things up there. Seahawks are wrapped for the playoffs at a wild card spot, and then it's where it gets really crazy. You got the Giants, Falcons, Panthers, Commanders are all now 8-6, 8-7. Well, the Falcons are 8-7 now. So it's going to be wherever the stars are aligned, I think, and then looking at the number 4 seed, like with the Vikings, like I said, he's 5-8. He's leading that. The Lions are at 5-9. You'd like to see one of these guys, able to kind of step in and get something solidified for that NFC North. But as crazy as it sounds, it's almost like there's more uncertainty with that seed and a playoff spot than there is in some of the wild card games here, because you just don't know what's going to happen there. But I'm going to call the Seahawks. I've got the Giants. I'm going to call the Giants making it, and the Commanders, which that's going to leave the Falcons and the Panthers on the outside looking in at the playoffs.
Tim in the chat says, do we have to have an NFC North champion? No one deserves it. Might be one of the few times. I'm having a hard time remembering 22 years of history, but might be one of the handful of times that we could count on one hand, missing 3 fingers, that we have a team with a losing record in the playoffs. Listen to this one: Minnesota 5-9, Detroit 5-9, Toronto 4-10, Green Bay 2-12. Holy cow! Could somebody just win a game over there? Let me move over to the NFC North. Listen, I think Cowboys, 49ers, Seahawks, all in. I think the Buccaneers, I agree with you. They're going to win this division, barely, but they're going to win this division. Those are going to be your top sort of seeds outside of whatever happens in the NFC North, which is just flip a coin and just pick one out of a hat. I'm going to go ahead and say the Vikings win it. I have no clue. I have nothing to base that on. I played him. I think he plays really well, but I played all those guys, and the Lions actually beat me this year. So that's what happens when you run 400 RPOs and you can't seem to figure to tackle a quarterback.
Let me give you one stat right here, since I'm looking at the NFC North. Every team is on a losing streak right now. Vikings, 4-game losing streak. Lions, 2-game losing streak. Mounties, 2-game losing streak. Packers, 1-game losing streak.
Yeah, good luck over there, guys. Get it figured out for that last season. I believe in you, though. That leaves Giants. I think that they're going to be in. And then I think the Panthers get in. I think the Commanders are going to be right there on the edge. It's just such a tough division over there. I really do think that the Panthers are getting hot at the right time. They're peaking. I think that they could win this division, but I think they're going to end up just short, maybe with some tiebreakers. I don't have all those scenarios sort of broken out in my head. I don't get to do this full time. I wish I could do this full time. I could give you all of the scenarios, but that is not how this works. I do think the Buccaneers win the division. I think the Panthers are going to get into the wild card and then flip a coin to see what happens in that one, because if I have it correct, the Vikings are going to be welcoming in, or whoever wins the NFC North, are going to be welcoming in the Seattle Seahawks. Good luck with that one. Sorry. That's sort of how that cookie crumbles. And then that's going to be a really fun matchup. Okay, we can get to Denbrew one last time. Actually, no. Let's just talk about this. We're going to talk about who gets the all-important number 1 seed in both the NFC and the AFC. We can talk to you about what you see on the screen right here, right now, but we got a couple of games here left to go. So we're going to talk about who gets the all-important number 1 seeds, and then we're going to go to Denbrew, and then we'll open up a very quick OMFL mailbag as we get about 15 minutes to wrap this show up, and then I need to go ahead and get on out of here. So let's start with the NFC first. Currently, it is the San Francisco 49ers that are the number 1 seed with the victory over the Dallas Cowboys this week. But again, we don't know who was playing to win that game and who wasn't playing to win that game, or if somebody just had to win it by, default. So who ends up winning the NFC race here for the number 1 seed?
Looking at the 49ers, they've got the Bills and the Giants left on their
both
slate to
fighting
play
for wild card spots.
Mm-hmm. And the Cowboys, their final 2, fucking
Tennessee and New York.
Faster. Tennessee and New York. So they both have a common opponent there with the Giants. The Titans, I think, are going to be possibly the one that may help decide this. I really think, though, with that victory today, though, I think that's going to lock up, I think, in my opinion, the 49ers having that top spot. It could be proved wrong, but I don't know. It just seems like the money in the 49ers, to me, have kind of solidified that with that victory over the Cowboys. knowing Dwayne, I don't think it really matters a whole lot with him being 1 or 2 seed, but I just think D-Money he's out to make a mess.
Who I really feel bad for here is the New York Giants. You got to play both guys who are basically dual number 1 seeds, and you're fighting for your playoff life over here, which may completely change the kind of run I was thinking was going to happen. It might be like Seahawks, Panthers, Commanders, because that is a tough ask to go ahead and have. But we're pulling for you, Mr. Collin. Let's see how you do. Yeah, I think it's going to end up being the San Francisco 49ers. I think I agree with you. The win today, it kind of sealed it up. I could see both teams beating the New York Giants. Dallas is going to have a bit of an easier game with the Tennessee Titans, who are trying to play spoiler, but don't quite have the team and may want to get the higher draft pick, whereas the San Francisco 49ers up against the Bills, who are also fighting for their playoff lives. I could see both of these teams, San Francisco and Dallas, ending up tied at the end of the season. Tiebreaker would go to them for that head-to-head. And so I do think this will go for the San Francisco 49ers, but Dallas, well, let's see. He's going to have to go on the road and win a playoff game at some point this season if he's going to make it to OMFL Bowl number 109. On the other side, we got currently the Jets is the number 1 seed. Again, this may be slightly outdated at 12-2. Bengals, the number 2 seed at 11-3. Both of those guys trying to fight for their number 1 seed lives over here, which we know could be crazy important with how tough the AFC is. Looking at the schedule really, really fast, the Jets have Orlando fighting for a playoff spot, Buffalo fighting for a playoff spot, Miami fighting for a playoff spot. No one is going to give it. If the Jets earn it, they flat out earned it. Looking at Cincinnati really quick, if I can get my fingers to work here, they have to finish out their season. They have 3 games as well. Jacksonville might be a bit of an easier game. The Chargers fighting for their playoff spots. Pittsburgh fighting for their playoff spots. And so what may end up being the deciding game here is Jacksonville. Those 2 teams would end up tied. I don't know if there's a head-to-head. Maybe you know that off the top of your dome. I do not.
Yeah, I do not.
This one's going to go right down to the very wire. I do think the Jets are red hot, though. They're playing really good football. I mean, they're 12-2 for a reason. I think they're going to knock off a couple of these teams that are fighting for their playoff lives. They're going to wrap up the number 1 seed. What do you see happening here in the AFC?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I think, and I know time's getting away, and I can talk and talk and talk. But, I think the Bengals, he's sitting at the number 2 seed. I think just looking at what the schedule that you called out, and compared to the Jets, which they're both a very tough schedule to end out a season on. But I think looking at that, I think what plays an important part here is I think the Jaguars have been a little bit more easier opponent. He hasn't had everything together this season. And then looking at the Chargers and Steelers, both those guys are very good players. They've played real well in the playoffs and past playoffs. So I think those 2 guys are going to be possibly deciding factors, because if the Bengals can only get a couple of wins out of this. But again, on the opposite end of that, you've got the Condors, a previous OMFL Bowl winner, Bills, previous OMFL Bowl winner, and then the Dolphins have been in a couple of OMFL Bowls, if I'm not mistaken. So again, you look at that road compared to what the Bengals have, probably is the Jets have a little bit more difficult road to finish the season on. And what we've seen this season, anything is possible. The unexpected can happen. And I'm looking at possibly the Jets taking a couple of losses in this last couple of weeks. I could be wrong, but again, this is for entertainment purposes and stuff. So I think things will align for the Bengals possibly to sneak up and take that number 1 spot in the AFC.
You heard it here first. Come find out where Maniac lives, Mr. Kobe, and you can get him yourself. All right, let's turn over to Denbrew for the OMFL News number 2. Then we'll open up the mailbag, which I think we just have one question today. So it should be an interesting one to unpack from Mr. Bird. All right, take it away, Denbrew.
All right, segment 2. We're back. Another matchup with some playoff implications that's going to go on this week is the Steelers versus the Desperados. Little rivalry there in the AFC North. The Desperados are 9-5 and currently hanging on to the last wild card spot in the AFC. The Steelers are 8-6, still alive, and a win versus the Desperados would obviously go a long way in helping their playoff chances. These two teams faced back in Week 10 with LC pulling out a 30-24 win. So Steelers really need to win in order to kind of eliminate that tiebreaker that they have there with the Desperados. So they both are going to finish looking at their schedule, they both got playoff teams the rest of the way out. They play each other this week, and I forget the matchups they got, but everybody that they finish out the season with are either going to make the playoffs or vying for it. So they've got some tough matchups. Both guys are super competitive. Both guys can get hot on offense and score a bunch of points. But if you look at their teams, they do it a little bit differently. The Desperados has got like speed for days on offense. They drafted a receiver a couple years ago, and he can just fly. Then they've got a couple other guys that are young and fast also. And they've got that big arm quarterback that they drafted a handful of seasons back. And then if you look at the Steelers, they're rolling with a rookie QB. And then they got a bunch of vets at a receiver led by Cooper Kupp and George Pickens. So both teams, if you played them, you know they got playmakers on defense. You've got T.J. Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, that Dexter Connor for the Steelers, and then the Desperados come out with Denzel Ward. I think he is a superstar X Factor. And then you also got to deal with Myles Garrett on the defensive line. But one little thing we got to worry about here for the Steelers is Dexter Connor is out. He's their best cover corner, and he is going to be out for this game. He is hurt. Huge matchup, division game, two competitive owners, playoffs on the line. It's must-see OMFL TV. That's all I got. Who do you think's going to win? Back to Nate. Back to Maniac. See you.
No booze or brews today. I enjoy the booze or brews. Like, that's such a cool little segment. Let us know in the chat. What do you think? Who's going to win that game? Anybody remember Pickens for the Cincinnati Bengals back in the day? I think it was the Bengals, right?
Yeah.
He used to play no gloves, tall, skinny, lanky guy. He came and played for the Saints for just like one season. He was terrible, but he used to remember
Carl Pickens.
Yeah,
I think
something
his
like
name
that. He was a good player. I don't know if there's a relation there. Anyway, every time I hear that name, that's what I think about. Okay, let's unpack the one OMFL mailbag question that we have. I don't know what happened to the chat, because there's more chat than this that's showing up. But let's get over here. We'll go no chat. That's what we'll do. All right, one question from Birdman, and then we'll do one final thought to get everybody out of here. Mackie says neither team should win that matchup, so we know how Nipples is feeling right now. Bird says, I'm out here catching strays from birds on a Monday. My goodness, I've heard you say this is the worst Madden ever in the moment. But when you take a step back and reflect, do you really think that it is? I love all the ... dots he put in there. That's why it feels like I'm catching strays from you, Bird. I don't appreciate that. Or is it similar to every other Madden where patches continually change or break the game and we all get super frustrated near the end of the cycle? I'll give my thoughts, and then Maniac, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I think Mackie says I hate both of them. I think that there have not been any that I can point to game-breaking patches this Madden. I think whether you like the Madden or not is sort of irrelevant to this first point, or not part of the conversation. The first point about patches. I don't think that this Madden is bad because of patches, because I think out of maybe the last 5 Maddens, this one has been patched the least and has not had that sort of radical, game-shattering, massive, dynamic, changing patch that's come out. At least nothing I'm recalling. I feel like out of all the last probably 3, 4, 5 Maddens, this one has been touched the least, at least in a dramatic way. Now, with that said, I believe they built this game to play a specific way, and it's playing the way they wanted it to play. That is no pressure, lots of points, very arcadey. And I think my problem with this Madden, and I do stand by, I think it is the worst Madden ever created. And that's coming from a guy who hears that every Madden. I don't say it just as a commissioner. Every Madden I hear, this is the worst Madden ever. This is the and usually I'm the guy saying, I don't believe that. I don't think it's the worst Madden ever. I actually enjoy it because I normally do. I don't know why my light's freaking out back there, but it is. I normally do really, really enjoy Madden just in general. And I'm usually the guy who's saying, like, I don't think that it's the worst Madden ever. This one, I think it is. I just do. I think the Vision Cone one, maybe you could probably point to that one as 1B, but the Vision Cone was bad because of the Vision Cone, and if you just turned it off, it wasn't that bad of a game. This one just feels it. I feel like I have no control, no real control over my player. I feel like it feels like a lot of plays are decided before you even snap the ball. It's always heavy animation driven. It is an animation driven game, but I feel like this new physics that they're trying to do with more animations just creates a game that feels like you have no control. Perfect point, and then I'll shut up because I could ramble about this. I'm not trying to make a case that we shouldn't enjoy it, number one. And I think I've learned that in the last 4 or 5 weeks, that when I say those things, it sort of affects other people, even if I'm saying it on my stream, because I don't go in our chat saying it because I'm a big culture guy. Like, let's keep the vibes of our chats clean, which will be my final thought before we get out of here. But it's my stream. It's just like I get caught up in the moment like all of us, and it feels like a gross game to me. It doesn't feel fun. There's nothing strategic about it, and we've got to have all these rules to try to force strategy. And that I really believe that's how EA wants this game. They want it to be an esport, and they've created a game that is an esport, not a simulation of what we see in the NFL, which is strategic team building, strategic team creation, like development, and strategic play calling. And I think the perfect case to point to, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, which matters nothing. I'm a nobody. I'm a commissioner of a made-up league and a made-up. It is what it is. Anyway, I think I've proven my point here. Perfect case is my last game. Who did I even play? I can't remember. Oh, the Giants. I ended up getting a pick late in that game. I'm down a lot, and I'm ranting and raving about something. I can't even remember what I was frustrated about, but it was something. And I called 3 plays without even thinking. Literally, I turned my head off because I'm ranting and raving, whatever it is that I'm ranting and raving about. And I just called these plays because they popped up and I liked them. I literally was not thinking. I was just boom, 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 and I scored a touchdown. And when I stopped, I went, I literally put forth no brain energy. I just called plays, ran them, clicked buttons, and scored a touchdown to get myself back in this game. That should prove that this is a terrible Madden. That it takes, and that's not fair. Like, nothing I say here is going to be good, Maniac, because I don't want to take away from the guys like the Jets, like the Seahawks, like the 49ers, like the Panthers who've won a bowl. I know how hard it is to win, and to win within our rules, which are very strict. And I say very strict, but they're like, we expect a very specific play style. And so if you can win doing that, and these guys like the Bucks, like a lot of teams here that are really good, win at a really consistent clip. I don't ever want to take away from those guys because they earned it. They're a better player. I'm not. This is not my cycle. I just don't feel like this is a fun game, and I just feel like I never have control. I never, it's just whatever animations you get. Played the Panthers. I played you the other day, Bird, because I know you're in chat, and there were 3 plays. I knew where you were going with it. I got there, and the game said, no, you're not getting the animation, and so I didn't get the picks. It's just like, blah. That, like, you don't pay for bad decisions. You're not paid for good decisions. It feels like a random roll of the dice. And with all that said, there are guys like the 49ers, and there are guys like the Jets and the Bengals and Dallas. Like, there are those guys who it doesn't feel like a roll of dice. It just feels like they're way better than you. So I can't explain it. So probably none of what I'm saying here makes any logical sense, and I should just be ignored. But I stand by what I say. I think it is the worst Madden ever. And with that said, I still want to have fun. I still want all of us to have fun. And I'll get back on that rant box when I give my final thought, because some of you were not nice humans in the chat this week, and I'm choosing to ignore you. And I'll leave it at that. Maniac.
Yeah, it's this Madden has been a strange one. I mean, talking to the guy that you handed the slider situation over to, and
Completely, by the way. I was so fed up with it. I was like, I will have minute input. I may give you a rant every now and then, but like, you are deciding what we put and don't put as sliders.
Yeah. And and it's been, I mean, for one, and I'll rant on slider things. I asked and I almost like begged and pleaded to get help testing sliders, and no one would help. No one. So I mean, I know it is. I mean, I understand. Everybody's busy and stuff, but and then if you want to complain about the Madden game, obviously you and I played several matches, and tried to play with those sliders and stuff. But like you're talking about some things that were expressed, you got to get out and help when there's a plea sent out, saying, hey, we could use some testing here or whatever. I think I also could go on a rant and stay on a rant about Madden, and I would start from the top, because where Madden went completely wrong is when they went with these influencers that are YouTube, and I'm doing the little hashtag with my fingers here, the YouTube influencers to come out and give their input on the game, because these guys care nothing about how this game is put together as far as like gameplay wise. They're worried about if they can get the inside information about what plays are going to work, what can grow their YouTube channel. They're not, I mean, and I say that, and maybe not every one of them, but 9 out of 10 of them are only worried about what they can do to grow their YouTube community or whatever, getting out information about, well, this play is going to work in this Madden, this play is going to work in this Madden. They all have an idea how Madden should play to their way, and I don't think I've seen enough from them stating from the community having, and I hate using the word since I've joined this community, because I have actually seen the difference between a sim label and as far as fair play, how we do things here, and how you create that is how the owners here interact with each other in the game, and how they interact through the game with each other. But sim, like, is one of those things where whenever I was part of the Game Changer program, they brought in owners that were a part of communities that ran CFMs, connected franchise, leagues that were more geared towards things like what we do here. But I have not seen that on social media in the last 5 years.
Yep, you're right. Good point.
Dealing with Madden, it's all been these guys that are absolutely all. If you look at each one of those guys that say I've been to EA, and you look at their YouTube channel, they're the ones that says, find out this nano blitz, be the best Madden defensive player in Madden 24 using this play, only 3 plays or whatever. That's where they have went wrong. And I think it's had a trickle down effect. You see it through the different sections of Madden, whereas you have the competitive, you have the sim, and then you have the whatever other option you have to play in there and stuff. But I think those things all correlate with each other because of those simple things that they've done, that those guys, when they go in there and they give feedback towards that game, they're not thinking about how it's going to affect how players play within a connected franchise. It's how they play on online against other pro players. And anyway, like I said, I could stay on that for a long time, but I think just looking at our community and how this game is played, I do think it's one of the worst Maddens that has been put together to create a competitive but also a sim style, fair play style league with the way they've built it. And again, other guys, some of the guys here, they enjoy this game a lot and stuff, but
which is also fine. Like, I'm
hard.
not telling anyone not to enjoy it. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah, and we're not telling you can't enjoy it, but just the way that it's set up, it's hard. I don't know, like in Madden's past, you've had where there'd be a couple guys that would struggle, but there was always there was something that they liked about it, or they could find a little bit of comfort in it, or whatever, satisfaction. I get to do this, or I may suck at the game, but I'm a top rusher, or I've been really good on defense. Maybe I stink at the quarterback play, but there's something to always kind of fall back on. But and this man, like, it's almost like in a lot of cases, if you're bad at one thing, like your team through the animations and stuff, it's just, it all snowballs and downfalls, and then next thing you know, you're just like, why even waste my time? And so, and I haven't personally and stuff. I've had instances where I've enjoyed the game, but over the course of the game and stuff, you start seeing like a lot of the flaws in the game. And of course, with dealing with the sliders, I've tested a lot of stuff, so I kind of know like some of the flaws that are there. But sometimes you just kind of see it more predominant from certain play styles, and it just like, it kind of, I don't know, it just kind of gets underneath your skin, and it starts just like, man, I just, I'm kind of like ready for this to be over with. I just kind of want to go to another game, because this is just getting like every week it's like, this huge roller coaster that's like not going up and down. It's just like all going into the bottomless pit here, and you don't see no light at the tunnel, or anything that you can do to help make it a better game for the community. It's just, it's all, what you got is what you got.
Yeah, I wish guys were more understanding of that. EA is going to create the game they want, that's going to bring them the most money, and that they think reaches the biggest audience. And so they probably have, they probably have an idea to like make a more arcadey, fun, score a lot of points, that kind of thing. They can do what they want. I just wish owners are more understanding this is what we have to deal with, and we're trying our best here. So anyway, one final thought. I got to get out of here. I hear the grandbaby here. I hear the wife yapping. She's trying to cook and what? And yeah, I'm going to get in trouble here in just a second. So one final thought, Mr. Maniac.
Just looking forward to seeing some of the guys that are really battling, trying to get in the playoffs. I'm hoping some of these guys that haven't been to the playoffs are able to get in the playoffs. Personally, I'm looking forward to what's coming ahead in the days ahead with hopefully some NCAA or college EA ball coming out, here in 90 days or so. So hoping to get some more info on that stuff. But overall, though, man, I love the community. I love being here. I've been one of those ones that's been on, took the road out for a while, and you just look back and always look back and said, man, even though if I couldn't be a part of something in the league, it was nice to be a part of the community, because there's a lot of guys here that have, and not everybody's that way, but there's a lot of guys here that have a lot of the same values that they look into, like far as gaming and different things that just correlate well with me. And I enjoy being a part of the community for that reason, not just because of Madden or whatever, but the nights we get to play COD and PUBG and stuff. Those are some of the best times because we get to just get in there and enjoy a game. And yeah, those games are not perfect, but we cut up and have fun and enjoy it. Those are the type of things that I look forward to here being in the community.
Yeah, I agree with you. My dog is freaking out because she can hear people here and I won't let her out. So she won't stop whining. She's driving me nuts right now. I was going to use my final thought to sort of approach what happened in chat the other day. I'm not going to do that for all the reasons that Maniac just said. There's too many good dudes here, too many good vibes, too many great things that happen here to try to mess up a Press Pass Live by I just wish. I've learned so much over the 20 years of the times I did run this, but I've always been here. And it is easy to turn this camera on and create content and be a commissioner and act like I'm somebody. That's easy. And I've done it when I was younger and more immature, and I've tried to grow and not get so angry and not let things get so personal. And the chat the other day did make me angry. I literally, the blood pressure was up, that feeling you get before you get in a fight or whatever, an argument, a heart rate is racing. And I was just what am I, this is stupid. I'm a made up role in a made up fictional community playing a video game that matters zero in anything in reality. It is a place of escape. That is the only reason I still do it. So I understand that this is an escape, and a lot of guys here are like me or some version of me, right? Maybe not as much as me. If you're Nipples, you got all kinds of friends. You don't need this place. But if you're like me, this is my community. I work all day, spend time with my wife. I'm a good husband, family, grandbaby, routines, but my crew is this group. The group we get on and play COD and PUBG and Madden and make content, and I thoroughly enjoy doing those things, and I've thoroughly enjoyed building the skill. And so this stuff does matter to me. And when the vibe of the chat gets ugly and people are passive aggressive with the comments, I've already sort of spoken to those comments. When I feel like I respect people and I speak to them respectfully and respect that we don't see things the same, and that's cool, but let's sort of play nice. And anyway, I will just say I'm going to be forced to make some hard decisions at the end of this cycle. And I'm just going to keep remaining silent because honestly, I for those who've done it to me, some of you are mean and hateful in DMs, and I get 18 DMs in a row, and it brings me stress and anxiety, and it makes me feel like a bad human. It's just I'm not doing that. I just stay out of the chat until it gets too ugly, and then I'll either ask one of the guys or I'll do what I did the other night, just politely step in and say, yo, let's not do this. But I just wish we were all a little bit more understanding, and the way you view to play the game is not going to be the way I view it. And some of the rules that we've passed, Nate has voted no to. I've tried to have the least amount of rules possible this season, but as a community, as a board, we have a group of guys who vote to get gameplay the way that we think it should be, because the game is crazy flawed and crazy broken and crazy gross in a lot of areas. So it sort of is what it is, but we all play by the same rules. And for those of you who think that Nate is out here banning things that I can't stop, you don't know me, you don't know my community, and you shouldn't play here. That's just how I feel, because you don't want to know me and you don't want to know this community. You just want to, play the way you want to play, and you have a right to do that. That's why we have other leagues here. Or there's a billion other great leagues ran by great dudes who make better content than me. They're smarter than me. They're more handsome than me. They're more articulate than me. They're all the things better than me. Okay, go play there. Awesome. Have a good time. Anyway, I love you guys. I really do. I love this community. I wouldn't have done it for 22 years. I'm going to be 45 this year, Maniac. 45. Still playing a video game
same.
And I only do it because I love the dudes. I love the community. I love the connections. And I just wish other people sort of kept that in mind. And sure, I rant and rave on my stream sometimes because I don't enjoy the game, but I don't feel like I've ever taken personal shots at humans, and I always try to let it go after and just move on with my life, because ultimately I just want to keep having fun. So guys, I got to get out of here. Maniac, thank you for being sick and still working through it and hanging in there with me. And I appreciate you, my guy.
Man, I appreciate being here, man. Really do.
All right, fellas, with that, we're going to get out of here. I love you. Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. Welcome to our new friends who've joined us. And I think I'm going to be back tonight playing nipples. So come hang out with me tonight. I got to go. See you.
Deuces.
Smash that like and subscribe.